Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you, yes. What do you mean shame on me? Because I asked you to leave. So I asked and said that you became a coward. You are a coward. Read it again. Listen.
The Bible says, John chapter 5, verse 21. As the Father raised up the dead and quickened the dead, even so, the Son quickened them whom he will. 25. Very yourself to you. The hour is coming. When the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God. Amen.
Islam is not a religion.
Bro, there's no need
Islam is not a religion. Islam is not a religion. It is just as religion. But Islam is only about faith. For me, Islam is not a religion. It's the cult of Satan, the devil. And they believe Allah, the Shaitan, as God. That's all.
You want to do good, you want to do bad. You are going to do
We're talking about the moral principle. You're saying under certain circumstances, to go up a hospital, leave the innocent people there in their hospital bed.
That's much more complicated. Let's say there's 10 people who go to the hospital. RPG's going to I know.
Hello. And kill all of the patients as well. And kill all the patients.
No, let's say there's 10 people in the hospital. RPG would kill 120,000 people.
Hang on. I'm talking about there are patients. 10 patients.
would kill 1,000 people.
Okay. Well, no, I'll be honest. This is. Well, let me just respond. I am. I appreciate that.
The people in the hospital and the people that RPG would kill. All UK citizens and the
I'm not just saying that it's You are the liar.
You're the liar. Yeshua is the Messiah.
Jesus Christ said,
Yeshua is the Messiah.
The way.
You are a liar. You deny Yahweh.
No man
deny Yeshua.
unto the
You say
Father.
Jesus is God. You are an antichrist.
The only way you can come to the Father
It's through Yeshua.
No, only if you can afford it.
Hello.
Alan.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you know what? I don't get involved in this kind of business, but all your previous stuff, I respect you for standing up.
And he's a second generation from Rwanda, who's born in England or born in Wales.
Within that respect,
And so, by standard definitions, he would be Welsh, living in Wales, having a right to vote in Wales, and so on. Now, he may be a monster and horrible and a killer, but Tommy turned around and said he's a terrorist. Now, I think that's stretching the definition of terrorism. There's no indication that any motivation for that person killing those 3 children was terroristic. So I don't see why you can then turn around and say there's some terrorist link. You know, and to be fair, the government has not been afraid, and the police have not been afraid of saying there are terrorist attacks. And sometimes they've accused people of being terrorists who are not terrorists. For example, Richard Medhurst. I didn't see Tommy complain about his arrest. For example, Asa Winstanley. Last week, they raided his home, stole all his computer equipment, accused him of terroristic activities. Piers Corbyn at one time was accused by Priti Patel, I believe it was, of advocating terrorism. And so you have to be a little bit careful about that. Now, Tommy Robinson was arrested under terrorism charges, which I believe are fake. I agree with that. And those terrorism charges, same fake charges, which other people have been charged with recently, are people who are pro-Palestinian.
Did he hand himself in? Because he said he was.
He did hand himself in, and they kept him in. To be fair, again, I think they did keep him in to keep him away from the demonstration, because they thought that might be inflammatory if he was there, and it's a politically motivated detention. I think that's true. And yes, even those people who you virulently oppose, you should stand up for their rights. Whether you agree with them about political issues or social issues or other issues or not, stand up for their rights. Because those rights are supposed to be universal rights. We're standing up for the implementation of those rights and laws in a universal sense. Having said that, the charges he's facing tomorrow morning, the contempt charges, I watched his video on that question, and that doesn't disprove that he committed contempt. There's no doubt that he committed contempt of court in relation to the allegations, the specific allegations that he made about that person. Now, should he have been charged or imprisoned with contempt of court? I don't think he should be. I think they're relatively minor questions. And yes, sections of the establishment have done a number on it on a number of occasions. Having said that, you don't put up a great big stage like that with huge television screens without having a bit of money behind you. No, I'm not saying there's something. I'm not saying there's something wrong with something having some money behind it. But if that money behind you is also corresponding with a specific international series of interests which correspond with a particular agitation you're making inside this country, for example, agitation against Muslims, making out that Muslims are responsible for rape gangs in Telford and elsewhere. Now, they may have been ostensibly culturally Muslims, the people who supposedly committed the crimes. There were others involved in these crimes who were not Muslims, but there have been many others within the Christian church. For example, in the Catholic faith, there is a long history of using the faith itself, which is not the accusation with the so-called Muslim grooming gangs, using the faith itself as the mechanism for sexual abuse of children. Well, that's definitely been the case in the Catholic Church, and that's long documented, well documented. So if you're against grooming gangs and paedophilia, fair enough. I think most people in society are. However, if you selectively choose one group and constantly harp on about them, and that's a long record of your particular political and cultural orientation, then you have to ask yourself, who are you serving in doing that? Why are you doing it? And then you're talking about an invasion. This is the argument Tommy Robinson makes. There's an invasion of foreigners into Britain, migrants, criminals, killers, rapists, who are coming into the country, occupying the country, getting benefits from the government and living off the land. That's the argument. No, I'm not saying nobody's doing that. But ask yourself this. If you apply, and that's why I said what I'm saying, if you apply your principles universally, if you've got a set of principles, unless you're just going to do whatever the highest bidder says, if you've got a set of principles, then you have to ask yourself, If you're worried about people coming into someone else's country, taking resources from them, and raping and abusing them, why isn't Tommy Robinson screaming about the abuse by Israel of the Palestinian people? Why, on the other side, is he directly supporting Israel and said, if it comes to it, he will go and fight with the IDF against the Palestinians who have been brutally slaughtered, murdered, beheaded by the Israelis to this date? So why is Tommy Robinson inconsistent in that minor little point? That minor little point of the slaughter of 42,000 people officially, the killing of about 115,000 people according to the Lancet, of which those people killed, of which around 70% are women and children. And this is ongoing. It's not like this is something happened years ago under British imperialism in the Second World War or in the Boer War or in the 1850 Sepoy Rebellion. We're talking about something happening while Tommy Robinson is speaking. So for him to turn around and say that he's opposing the invasion by foreigners of Britain, but he's not opposed to the invasion of foreigners into Palestine, then I think that's a little bit hypocritical. Then there's the case, they're coming here illegally. Well, what was Tommy Robinson in prison for? One of the charges he was in prison for in the past. Entering America on a false passport. So in other words, he's done exactly the same as he's accusing those people who come on boats of doing. Entering the country illegally. Without, okay, some of them get rid of their passports, but nevertheless, if it's an illegal, if it's not your passport, you might as well be entering the country without a passport. So, you know, there's a certain hypocrisy involved here. Now, I know he's just produced a book. He's against communism. He's against Marxism. As I said, I don't think he's ever explained